All right, here we go. Hips. Flexibility. We talked about flexibility yesterday, right? The ability to move a joint or a series of joints. What would be an example of a series of joints? Yes, a whole bunch of bones all together, right? All stacked up. That's a series. So that's super important. All right, so we talked about if you don't have flexibility, you're not near as good an athlete. You have problems with your back. You get knee pain if you don't have good flexibility. So I think this is where we stop, right? Range of motion. Now you see AROM, active range of motion. All right? And then passive range of motion. All right, what's passive? Yeah, you're not doing anything. Exactly. What's active? When you're doing something. Okay, so now that this is good class because last time I was like going trying to explain it. Ooh. So active range of motion. So let's look in one of those drawers. I think there's one in there. All right, there's a little piece of plastic in there. Yes, there we go. Okay, and they're in these drawers. There's all sorts of different sizes of them, and they're in the drawers. All right, and it checks your range of motion. This thing here, pretty cool. It's called a goniometer. It's probably on there. Okay. Well, active range of motion refers to the degree to which a joint can be moved by a muscle contraction. So, who's going to help me? Okay. Who was that? You said that? Come. Come. All right. We want to see active range of motion in your elbow. That's exactly right. And all she's doing is just moving her elbow back and forth. Flexion, extension. Move it in. Active range of motion. So we'll find out where she is here, which normally it's 100. I mean, and then we'll come and bring it there, and we can see how far she is. Now, what if her elbow hurt? Right? All right. So it's okay. So we're going to say that's as far as you yourself can move it.
Without it hurting?
Yeah. So you stop. So she wants to do active range of motion, and she can only go to here, right? So is she mechanically blocked? Is there a piece of bone or something in there that's actually blocking that from having more range of motion? A piece of cartilage in your knee that's blocking it? Or is it just the pain? Could be. But we don't know that because she doesn't know that. All right? So here's her active range of motion only goes to here now. All right? Because she got hurt. All right? So I'm going to say, we're going to measure that. So we measure what her active range of motion is. We go and we say, oh, wow, holy smokes. You're at 90 degrees. That's 90 degrees. Okay? So then I go and I say, you relax. I want you to be passive. And so she's passive. And then I'm able, and she starts to wince. She goes, oh, no, 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 no. It hurts a little bit, but I can get it there. And meanwhile, we have the goniometer on there. And we got another 10 degrees. So she really can get to 100 instead of just 90. All right? So that's not bad. No. So we know that now what's active and what's passive range of motion. He's so sweet. Okay? So you need to know which one is which. Oh, stretching. Here we go. 3 basic deals of stretching. All right? There's ballistic, there's static, and then there's PNF, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. All right? Ballistic, repetitive bouncing. You want to do that kind of stretching? I don't think so either. You bounce too far, and guess what you do? You pull something. Let's say that you're trying to bounce and touch your toes. Yeah. Hamstrings go? Nah, really good. All right, what's static? Hold to an endpoint, and that's it. Yep. So you would say, all right, touch your toes, count to 10. While you're seated, with your back straight. You keep your back straight, it's a lot harder. All right? So, and then there's PNF, and it uses alternating contractions and stretches. So I come out, somebody stretches me out here, and then I contract back again. And somebody stretches me out here, and I contract back again. Okay? There's a whole class that you can do just on proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. You're not going to see P&F on your daily life. You'll see the static stretching, and every now and then you'll see a knucklehead being doing this ballistic stretching. Right? Got it? So those are the three types of stretching. You'll certainly see that on your test, what three types of stretching is on there. I remember, I think it was even on a multiple guess question. All right, we talked about this the other day briefly about the agonist and the antagonist. All right, the agonist is the muscle performing the contraction. Remember when she was just helping me and she was using her biceps? Those are your biceps, your beach muscles, right? She's using her biceps to flex at the elbow. All right, what's on the other side? Triceps. Yeah, triceps. Yeah, what's on? Yeah, pay attention. Pay attention. So when I'm doing this, what muscles? What does the muscle have to do in order to make a joint move? It has to flex, which makes it shorter. All right. So your bicep flexes. Which one's the agonist? The bicep itself. What one's pulling against? Tricep. So the tricep. All right. Well, think about your leg. Okay. So if he kicks, right? Tighten. That's his quad. What happens to the hamstring? They lengthen. Yeah, they stretch and they lengthen. So that's the agonist or antagonist. How about when you're running? They switch super fast. Switch, 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 switch. Right? Well, if that one muscle that's being stretched can't release from contracting that fast, that's where you start getting pulled muscles. So you have the quads and the hamstrings. Another example, and you'll need to know examples. So another example is going to be your bicep and your, there you go. So the agonist is the muscle that performs the contraction, and the antagonist is the muscle that is being stretched while the agonist is. But remember, they swap back and forth so quick. Okay? Oh, weight training and flexibility. If weight training is done properly through a full range of motion, then it will not impair flexibility. Okay? But you've seen those guys, you know, walking around. They can't, you know. Hey, why don't you straighten your arms? I can't. Full of muscle. Hey, why don't you put your shoulders back? No, I can't. I'm full of muscle. So they walk around like this all day. But you can still be strong, but work on your flexibility program. Because naturally, as you start to gain your strength, muscle fibers are going to shorten up. But work on your flexibility. Okay? So, yeah, quit working out. Okay? So, here we go. Flexibility. How do we measure joint? And what's ROM? ROM is what? Range of motion. All right. He is on the ball. It can be difficult, but if it's done properly by the same person over and over and over, all right, then you're going to have a good idea to the improvements of your range of motion. You got that? So, if Miss Bates measures your elbow flexion, right, and I come in and measure elbow flexion, I might be 4 or 5 degrees off. We go do it again the next day, I might be 4 or 5 degrees off from what she gets too. But the next day, I see you're 10 degrees better, and she sees you're 10 degrees better, all right, then that's good. Because we both saw a 10-degree improvement. All right, but if I'm coming in and then she sees a 10 degrees improvement and I see a 15-degree improvement, we're a little bit off. So it's best the same person to do it the second time. All right? So what are you going to use? Is it on? I think it's on. That one there? All right. You must know how to spell that word. All right? You can use a goniometer. Now, next time that you see one of our seniors, anyway, she had a great time with goniometer. Come in here and tell us how it was spelled for an entire year. Goniometer. You place it on the axis of the joint, and as you move the segments together, this has a long, see the little black line on there? And so it goes on the degrees over here. Obviously, you're not going to have something that's going to say that anything past 180 degrees. Okay? So make sure you know which one you're looking at. Is it 20 or is it 160? Right? Well, that's not 20. Okay? That would be 20. So make sure you're looking at the outside of the deal. One can use a goniometer by placing the two arms parallel to the longitudinal axis of the two segments involved in the motion of the specific joint. Do we understand that, or do you want me to show you how to actually use a goniometer? Oh, well, I need somebody. Well, come on. Huh? So we would have her come up, just put your arm out all the way. Have it. Oh, looky there. Look at that. She's actually, she got actually recavatum. Yeah, recavatum. So she's actually, holy smokes. So I'm going to see, I'm going to find a spot there in here. This goes right in the middle. So she's actually about 15, negative 15 degrees. So I'm coming back up. All right. And now that says that she is at 160 degrees. Okay? But we've got to add something to it. Right? The 15. Because she starts at a negative. All right? So I keep this on the long axis of this bone, the long axis of this bone. All right? And I put that at the joint, and we pinch her. All right? And so then we go again. And I'm right at it again. Well, 150. She's probably about 165 degrees of flexion, of full range of motion. That's how you use it. All right. Now you'll see people that'll like let it get off the long end of the axis, and that you got to be careful. You can't let that part happen. Got to make sure that you're pointing it on that long part of the axis of the bone and leaving it there. Don't let it slide around. All right. Muscle strength and muscle endurance. Actually, muscular strength and muscular endurance. Which one do you see in athletics? What? See both. Yes. Got to have muscular strength. Think about the offensive lineman, defensive lineman, the linebacker, the running back, even the wide receiver. He's got to be able to push off. Whether it's legal or not, that's one thing. Be able to do it. So your well thought out plan is our cardio, our doing our runs after the game, and at the same time we also need to do our strength. So what is a strength? One time. One time. How much can you bench press? How much can you do in a curl? One time max. Y'all do maxing out, right? Yeah. One time. That tells you your strength. But you don't max out all the time, do you? Every week? No, that'd be crazy. cray-cray. But endurance is the ability to perform a repetitive muscular contraction against some resistance. Repetitive is over and over and over. Now, with the NFL, they'll have all these guys come in that they want to see who is the fastest, who's the strongest, who's got the most reps. It might be you, but we'll find out. So what they'll do is they'll have them jump up and touch a bell, or see what their vertical leap is. They'll have them run a 40. They'll have them run 100. They'll put 225 pounds on a bench press, 225, and they'll tell them, all right, bench press, and they'll just sit there. How many can you do at 225? They're checking endurance too. It's just as important as the strength, okay? Because if this guy's got super strong, yeah, he might be able to make it through the first quarter, but what happens after halftime? The dude, the hare and the tortoise. Every game is a long game. It's not a quick one like that, unless you run 100-yard, 100-yard dash or something. So, know your difference between muscle strength and muscular endurance. I think that's pretty easy, though, isn't it? All right, here's your types of contractions when your muscles are working out. So I'm going to give you some homework tonight, and I want you to look up this guy named Charles Atlas, A-T-L-A-S. You tell me what Charles Atlas put together and where he made his name and made his money. I used to see him in the back of the comic books. But isometric, concentric, and eccentric contractions. Don't look it up now. I want it tomorrow. You can either mail it, Charles Atlas. You tell me everything you can find out about it. You got a picture? I want his picture. I really would love to get if I could see the cartoon that he always used. Okay? Isometric. We do a contraction without changing the angle of the joint. Okay? I'm pushing my hands together. Put your hand in there. I am pushing my hands together. Is that correct? I am using muscles, right? Am I changing the angle of my shoulders? Am I changing the angles of my wrists and my elbows? No. Isometric contraction. You can use that in the very beginning of rehab. All right? Will you get stronger with isometric contraction? Yes, you will. But the only problem is that, see that where I'm at right here? That's the only place I get stronger. How about out here? How about under here? I don't get stronger there because I'm not at that angle using those muscles. So it's a very safe for rehab. Very safe for people who haven't done anything in a long time to wake their muscles up. But it takes quite a bit for them to see the results. But you will see results. Concentric. All right? So here I am. I'm doing concentric. Is it here or is it here? A or B? Tells you right there. The muscle length shortens. So if I'm working my biceps right here doing a curl, when I'm doing this, concentric. So now I've done that. Let's do negatives. All right? So I get this muscle and I maybe have to have a little help to get it up. And then I slowly let it down. Yeah. So I'm doing some negative resistance. Or eccentric muscular contractions where the length of the muscle lengthens during contraction. Got that? Isometric. I want to know about Charles Atlas. Don't forget about Charles. All right? We've seen the word hyper before. Hyper means what? How about hyperactive? What's hyperactive? Really active. All right? Hypertrophy. Right. The next one is atrophy. So, hypertrophy is enlargement of a muscle. Enlargement of a muscle caused by an increase in the size of its cells in response to training. All right, let me ask you this. What else happens? Not just the size of the cell, but what else? You get more cells. The mitochondria split. And what's the mitochondria? You had this in biology? It's what? It's the powerhouse of the cell. Yes, they're great. They create the energy. Okay? But if you don't use them, they die off. Okay? So let's say that it took you 6 weeks to go from bench pressing just 100 pounds to bench pressing 140 pounds. You got there in 6 weeks. You worked your tail off. But then you quit. And now your muscles are going to shrink. They're going to atrophy. That means the circumference of the muscle gets smaller. You don't have any more of these great big beach muscles that I have. You see, these people that listen, they can't see me. So I can make it sound like I have great big beach muscles. Right? So all of my great big beach muscles from my working out, I haven't worked out. And they get skinny. And that's atrophy. Guess what else they do? They get shorter. So you get atrophy and contracture. So what if if I've got sometimes we can't help it. What if you had shoulder surgery, right? They stuck you in a great big sling, and all you had to do was walk around like this, and you couldn't raise your hand, you couldn't do any weightlifting, you had to eat left-handed. What's going to happen to those muscles? Atrophy and contracture. And then you got to start all the way from square one. But how long does it take? Now, we said it took us, what, 6 weeks to go from 100 pounds to 140 pounds of benching? If I quit that, how long does it take then to go back to 100 pounds? It takes you in 3 weeks, you'll be back to 100 to be able to bench at 100. You lose your gains twice as fast as you gain them. Okay? Twice as fast. So that's why we lift weights during the football season. Are we trying to get stronger? No. Where did I hear that? You're trying to maintain your strength. All right? Maintain your strength. Because that's 4 months long. And if I don't lift any weights in those 4 months, everything that I've done in the previous 8 months, by the end of the season, will be gone. Right? Huh? You guys are anxious. What is it? Time to be done? All right.